I want to talk to you about this very delicate subject that often gets confused in its expression, but it is a critical piece. And that wonderful subject is called confidence. Confidence, yeah. Many of us lack it. Many of us are not sure if being confident is being arrogant or brash or braggadocious or a bit of a show off. But confidence is such an important element in functioning, moving forward, attaining your goals, your dreams, but more importantly, to be in yourself. To be in yourself. So let's look at this morning. I'm not going to take long because I want to share some practical hints and tips on how we can boost our confidence, and also to hear from you guys how you navigate those spaces between confidence and the lack thereof, or confidence and thinking, oh, I'm a show off if I do that, or no, there's a bit of privacy that's required, and should I really be confident now in a moment when others around me are not confident? And so we have to wonder what it is. I'm going to try and expand on what it is and how we could use it in a better way. All right. So I've got some notes I'm going to read from. So if I don't look at the screen for a few seconds, please do forgive me. I'm just going to give you some background tips. Our confidence is linked to our self-esteem. And self-esteem is what you think, believe, and feel about yourself. So everyone has self-esteem, but that self-esteem is not always healthy. Remember, it's what you think, believe, and feel about yourself. So here's the point. If you want to increase your self-esteem and raise your confidence, you will need to raise and change your thoughts. You need to change your feelings, and you need to change your behaviors to be in line with the level of self-esteem you're seeking. So how do we do that? You can do this with consistent, regular practice. But remember, as I said in an earlier session, practice does not make perfect. Practice makes permanent. If you do the wrong things consistently, it becomes a habit that you practice and you become good at doing the wrong thing. So try and practice the best thing until that becomes routinized. All right. So just like learning any new skill, I believe confidence is a skill that can be practiced, and it does take time. With patience, you can improve your confidence. And as Ricky said last week, a real habit can start to change in 21 days, but in real terms, it takes place. A habit gets formed in about 62 days. So practicing the right thing consistently around your confidence can actually change your life within the next 2 months, 60 days. And, you know, if you want to be uber confident for Christmas, maybe it's a good time to start today in the midst of crisis, in the midst of things going bad. And as Nonclay and Fumi's just talked about, in the midst of a challenge, how do I be confident in the midst of a crisis? Well, guess what? That's when you need it the most. You don't need confidence when you're on top of the world. You need confidence when the odds are against you. All right? So let's look at this a bit more. So how do I believe in myself? How do I get that level of self-confidence that's required to perform a task, to be my best cheerleader? If no one else is patting me on the back and saying, well done, how do I keep going? How do I focus? How do I stay alert and attentive to the task, but generating that complete belief in myself that I can achieve the task that is set before me? That's confidence. And you can see quite easily why many of us don't have it, because confidence, especially, I've noticed this in some of the BAME communities, has been pressed out of us. Oh, who did he think he is? Oh, she thinks she's nice. Oh, oh, oh. And we say things and we don't necessarily learn to accept that actually I am good at that, or I can do that, or I'm potentially the best at that, because it seems conceited, it seems irregular, it seems wrong to think like that. But I tell you what, people like Michael Jordan didn't have that issue. People like Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't have that issue. Do you see what I mean? Kobe Bryant didn't have that issue. And you have to realize that actually there is some things that you are absolutely brilliant at, or you have the potential to be brilliant at. But this energy, this skill of confidence seems to be missing. So let's start by looking at some of the insecurities. Where did they come from? Did it come from parents? Did it come from the school teacher? Siblings? You know, there's always competition in siblings. Did it come from the partner, boyfriend, the girlfriend? Did it come from the person you trusted? Could have been your football coach, your singing coach. It could have been the dinner lady. Did someone say something to you that knocked you for six and made you feel, I'll never be? And remember, we talked about the amygdala earlier on in some of these previous sessions, and what gets formed in those states of our mind that reduce our inability to be confident. So looking at this, I mean, you've all, I don't know if you all watch football, but you must have heard of these scenarios where it's the World Cup final and someone comes and they put the ball on the penalty spot and they run up with the most swag and the most candor, and they, you know, dummy the keeper and they chip the ball over it, and you think, whoa, what confidence. And then you get another player of similar stature, earning the same sort of money, and they're literally biting their nails, and they're wiping their head, and they're just nervous. What's the difference? Where did that energy come from? Both similar type of footballers. It has been said scientifically by sports coaches that when a person wants to join a football team in particular, oftentimes the parents or the manager of, not the manager, the agent of that player talks about how good the ability is of that player. I can run, I observe the pitch, I can shoot from a distance, I can do all of that. And the sports scientist coaches would say to those agents and parents, that's brilliant, but that is actually one of the least things I'm looking for. And that used to confuse the parent, because they thought, actually, my son's scored 31 goals, or he's one of the best in London, or name your area. And the sports scientific coach said, well, actually, what I'm looking for is confidence. Because if your player with all the ability has no confidence, then they're not going to shoot at the target. They're not going to feel they're good enough. They're not going to control the ball with accuracy, because they may hear the noise coming from the crowd, which makes them feel, I'm nervous, I can't. They may feel intimidated when the manager walks in the room. They may lose their confidence if they're losing 2-1. And I'm always using football analogies, but forgive me, you can translate it into the sport or a scenario of your choice. So how does some people seem to have uber confidence, especially when the pressure's on them? Let's look at this a bit more. Something to do with your worth. Self-esteem is our cognitive and emotional appraisal of our own worth. It's your cognitive and emotional. So that's your amygdala, your hippocampus, and your prefrontal cortex all working together, appraising your own worth. It's the matrix through which we think, feel, and act. It determines and reflects our relationship to ourselves, to others, and to the world. What is going on in your brain, in your evaluation of yourself, especially in difficult circumstances? Now, does it mean that I have to have the skill and the experience to do something in order for my confidence to be boosted? Or, as I always say in these sessions, I know I can throw you in the deep end because you'll swim. Do you have to have done something and achieved that particular thing before and become good at it in order for your confidence to be boosted? Or do you just have had to have done something in your life which was challenging that you managed to overcome or manage through that persistent, constant updating of the information and the evaluation, the emotional appraisal of yourself through that circumstance? And you think, if I'd done it there, surely it's the same mic, I can try it here. Now, to me, that's confidence. It doesn't necessarily mean I have experience in the thing I'm endeavoring to do. But because I've done something before, I feel, I think, and I act in a way that says, go for it. So people with healthy self-esteem constantly make choices in their thoughts and actions that are aligned with and support their values. What are your values? Has anyone in this room ever written down what their values are? I've got mine. I've written them down. I know what my values are. Do you know what yours are? Because if you don't know what your values are, you don't know if you're performing at optimal level. You don't know if you're presenting the best version of you. You don't need to be confident in a lot of things because there's no barometer of value. So what are your values? I think that would be a really good assignment for you over the next couple of days to just reflect and think about what your values are. Some of your values may be informed by your faith, your family, your friends, but I'm also wanting you to go inwardly, intrinsically delineate your values. Because out of your values, if you are congruent with your values, then you can assign some rituals, some practices, some routines to boost your accomplishment in attaining and delivering and maintaining those values. Therein, you become a bit more confident. Okay, so we're looking at frequency. How often are you doing the things that's going to boost your resilience. We heard about that last week. How often are you going to do the thing that's going to make you feel more confident, more prepared, less anxious, more balanced, more poised? And you know, sometimes even in the midst of being poised, just like the duck swimming on the water, your legs are moving about at frenetic pace. But there is still some posture and poising to do in order to metaphorically take the penalty in the World Cup final. Take some character, but that can be strengthened through practice, maintained through specific skill building exercises. And you know what happens? We've talked about the brain in previous sections, but the more you frequently think a specific thought and practice a particular behavior, the stronger the brain pathways become, causing an automatic habit of thought becoming action. Thought becoming action. Now, as I said already in this session, some of you have faith, and that should only amplify the best of you. It should encourage what you do. But there is some work that you must do in order for your faith to really, really work for you. Okay. So back to the example of what's caused these insecurities. If someone was constantly made fun of by classmates and not invited to play with them when they were a child, that person has probably developed some form of low self-esteem. And that thought patterns regarding friends and social situations may never ever develop into something that is intrinsically healthy, because your earliest experience of friendships was one of, they make fun of me. Oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I don't fit in. And that is exacerbated with race, religion, gender. Sometimes people are ostracized just because of how they look. And that could have massive impact into how we think, feel, and act. So these patterns and these behaviors may suddenly surface in the midst of a social gathering. And you're thinking, not today, no, go away. You don't want to be contending with some of these issues that are resident in your brain. They're emotionally damaging, and yet you have to go to work, you have to have social interactions, and you feel like, the last thing I want is this thing to show up. Has anyone ever been there? Right? And you just know that in a moment, your memory can recall to you how you felt when you were 8 or 6, or when your neighbor swore at you and said something abusive. And you think, oh, I don't want to connect with people like that. And it numbs your confidence. It numbs your confidence. So we tend to be the person who waits to be asked, even though we have the initiative and the answer. We shrink back from expressing when we have the wisdom and the perspicacity to do what we know what to do. But there's just this missing piece that says, oops, I better not. And we cancel that opportunity. You know, when you hear these things like, people like me shouldn't be in this room. Oh, if you're young, to say, oh, I'm a bit too young. These are old people, they're smart. Or perhaps I'm a black guy. What am I doing in here? These are rich white men. Whatever the issue is, sometimes our confidence is thwarted because of our memory associated to a failed experience. So how do we rewire that system and kickstart it. To be confident, not this fake it till I make it stuff, not this arrogance and, you know, bravado. I called it spiritual bravado in one of these sessions before. Not that stuff, but that deep, inward, poised, structured thought pattern that says you can, you will, you must. I've just got one more point to share before I open these things up. Because some of us are gifted with skills and abilities. You know, you see these prodigies who can play the piano at the age of 3. Brilliant artists, brilliant orators, brilliant things with their motor skills, fine motor skills, brilliant with their hands, artisans. And they're just gifted. And I've noticed many super gifted people don't seem to have a lot of confidence. Why? And then yet there's someone who aspires to have a portion of that gift, and they work at it and they push and they push, and then they become good at it. In my experience, when I used to play football, the best footballers were not the ones playing for Arsenal and Chelsea and Tottenham and all those teams when I was growing up. Part of the problem is they were undisciplined. They were at the nightclub the night before. They were doing all sorts. They were playing on the common because they couldn't be bothered to go into training. So the naturally gifted ones were not necessarily the ones at the top of the game. So what do we do with our gifts and our skills and our abilities and the gifts that we acquire and the gifts that we become? How do we develop that and underwrite those gifts with this wonderful thing called confidence? Balanced, counterbalanced against arrogance. You know what I mean? Where you're not exorbitant. You're very well balanced. So confidence is a key. Let's have a quick look. I'm running down my notes just to keep. Yeah. So what are you saying to yourself? We've talked about this before. It's the language you keep. What's your personal affirmations? And then what do you associate that affirmation to? Is it just something you heard on YouTube or some mentor or motivator say and you think, oh, that was good? But if you don't attribute that personal affirmation to a value, it's a waste of time, because you will say it and it won't manifest. It doesn't just happen. Oh, I'm going to be rich. Yeah? What are you doing about it, Mike? No, it doesn't work just like that. It requires effort. It requires a process. It requires systematic thinking. So you must assign your personal statement and affirmation to your personal values. Then it starts to be endorsed. Then you start to lift up your head and think, I'm not as bad as they said I was. You know, when you start having that conversation, you're on the way. I can't be all that bad. When you start having conversations like that, you're recognizing there's a turning around. And then now, what do I do to plant those affirmations deeply in the soil of my mind, in my thinking ability? So what are you saying to yourself? We've heard this number of times in this session, and I think it's a good time, with all of the chaos around us, to touch on this point. What are we saying? Think about what you're thinking about. What are you saying? Have you taken the time to unpack it and realize that some of the things you're saying is a bit chaotic? Shut down that conversation. Turn down the volume on that. And then try and find the language that helps you to take the first baby step. The first baby step. And then the second one. If you've done the first one, the second one can be done. Because you use the same energy, the same focal point, the same end game to get you going. So think about your talents, think about your successes, think about your statements, think about your values, think about what you're saying to yourself on a daily basis. Remember the law of conformity. Who do you hang around with? What are they saying to you? Do they understand your values? Are they even aware of what you believe? Do they know what you stand for? Can they help you stand in that position? Are they willing to challenge you based on your values which you've published? So they can say, Mike, that doesn't agree with who I believe you are or who you believe you are. So your value systems is really, really important. I'm going to keep emphasizing that, especially in this climate. What you believe, you bring about. So do another audit of self. Pick back up those pieces that you know you've got in your treasure chest. Those valuable visions, those valuable dreams that you've just put aside because someone said something that made you just feel like, I can't. Or more importantly, even more powerfully, the thing that you've given up on based on the things you've said to yourself about yourself. That's even more powerful than someone else saying it about you. All right? So think about the whole person and then start underwriting that person with the right information, affirmations and statements. It's how you think, act, and what you believe. Finally, I want us to just complete a statement. I'm going to ask you to spend just 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Just completing this statement for yourself. I nearly said for me. It's not for me, it's for you. Just say this. I am ready to ... I'm ready to ... Whatever the ... is, that's the 2 minutes I want you to think about and write in your own words. It's going to push you a bit. Think big. Audacity of hope, said Obama. In other words, how dare you think that big, Mike? Yes. Are you ready? That's the question. I am ready to ... I'm going to give you 1 minute, 30 seconds left. Thirty seconds. All right, perfect. I'm going to close this section on this statement. It's a did you know piece. Did you know that your mind interprets a vivid vision, dream, or imagination in exactly the same way it does a real experience? That's why affirmations and visualizations help boost confidence. And if you want to really push your confidence, anchor those visions, visualization treatments and techniques to your personal values, then no one can strip that away from you. If they start stripping it away from you, you defend it. You feel like they're actually taking a part of who I am away, and you won't allow that. All right, so associate your affirmations and your visualizations to your values, and I believe you'll have better success. All right, so that's my thoughts for this morning, and I want to open this up this morning. I want us to talk about this. So before I introduce you to a part B in the way of a speaker, I just want to share some thoughts. I want to hear what you think about confidence and what we can do or what you do in addition to what I've said to boost it. So who would like to help me out here? And again, I have lovely people in this room who can swim, so I'm not afraid to ask people to help me. You know that, right? You know that. It's all in love anyway. It's not embarrassment. It's in love. We try and boost each other, and that's good. So let me a person who I believe has helped this cafe incredibly over the last 6 months or thereabouts is Fiona. Good morning to you, Fiona. I'd just love to hear anything you could share with us on confidence and why it appears to be such a missing piece in our lives today. Good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Nice to see you.
And you, and
Morning,
you, and
all.
you.
Confidence, I certainly have suffered from a lack myself. And it took me a very long journey to recognize that for me, this may not apply to everybody else, but for me, what was stealing my confidence was comparison. You know, I needed to be sure of what I could do for myself, by myself, without looking at what other people were doing or could do, because everybody is different and everybody, I always say you are everything that has brought you to today. So everybody's background will contribute differently, as mine has contributed differently to everybody else's. So there are still some things I'm not fully confident in, but there are also some things that I believe I'm boss, you know. So I just do, and I bolster that with knowledge and with yeah, primarily knowledge. A lot of my support foundation is in knowledge, secure knowledge. So I think certainly going to grief, my strong point, people lose confidence, and it's one of the elements that is missed in giving support, in that people lose confidence in themselves because they have suffered such a heavy knock. It has knocked the wind out of them. It has taken away their belief in themselves, their security in themselves and in life. And it's then a journey for them to get back to the point where they can begin to operate beyond functionality. They can believe in themselves again. And it doesn't necessarily matter who they've lost. I mean, you would think it's primarily with husbands or partners, I should say. But no, it could be anybody. And I do think a great disservice is done to people when that is not recognized and the support that's given is done on the assumption that the person, so the supporter is assuming that this bereaved person is the same person that they're dealing with, and make statements and decisions and plans based on that assumption. Whereas in truth and in fact, that person is their whole world has shaken and they themselves are shaky. And it's just it could be a pathway to healing that brings them back to themselves, quite literally. But above all, The one thing we all have to do is be kind to ourselves. We are limited. We don't like it, but we are limited. And one of the things you certainly should be doing is recognizing where your limitations are. And it's not a bad thing. It's just knowing, okay, this is a point you can take it to with full confidence. Beyond that, you need to shore up yourself a little bit more. That's my contribution.
Excellent and well said, Fiona. That's a powerful point, to know your limitations, and the actual limitations rather than perceived ones, because sometimes the perceived limitations could be, oh, I'm not good enough, and you limit yourself based on this limiting belief system rather than what your real potential is. And so we keep going. Thank you, Fiona. Thank you, as ever. Always brilliant perspective. I think I would like to hear from Habida. I know I asked Habida to share something with us this morning around confidence as well. So Habida, if you could give us 5 minutes, and we'll come back to you with some Q&A. All right? Need to have you unmuted, please, Habida.
All right, so I had prepared 10 minutes, so I'm down to 5. Okay.
We'll come back to you.
I'll go straight into it. I'm an artist, and in this time, God has shown me my purpose. Purpose without the search for money can be enriching. God gave me the talent to entertain, enlighten through art and music, so I'm going to use my 5 minutes in that way. I wrote a poem, and it goes like this. I am Stella. I'm getting my groove back. Over the years, I've gotten weary, and I've been through everything you can imagine. But in Corona, I found the time to go inward and spend with myself. And in doing that, I actually got to know me. And as I read my Bible, I got to know who my maker made me. I stopped hearing the voices of others' opinions, assumptions, newspaper articles, criticisms telling me I couldn't do it. I'm not enough. I also stopped going outward.
Habida?
Yeah.
Habida, sorry to cut you. Something went wrong with your speaker or your microphone. Could you speak now? I think you might be back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go back 1 paragraph and we'll pick up.
Okay. I stopped hearing the voices of others' opinions, assumptions, and newspaper articles, criticisms telling me I couldn't do it. I'm not enough. I also stopped going outward for answers. Do you know how empowering it is to know little old me has all the answers to all my own questions? And if I didn't, I can pray and meditate, and the answer could come in time through a friend calling or a situation finding its own way. Which brings me to the word patience. Everything stopped being about everything right now. Enjoy the journey. I realized I don't need much. It was my birthday the other day, 13th of August, and usually I would have told myself I needed a new outfit, some new shoes, a watch, maybe, but for the first time, I had taken the time to know that my time and self wanted this time just a homemade birthday cake and my children making me breakfast, watching a movie in a homemade theater, which means curtains drawn, a foolscap paper with the number 1 written on it, stuck to the living room door, cinema this way, and homemade popcorn. I realized time is what I value, quality time to the depths of my soul. Get up and move, I tell myself. I'd held myself back waiting for someone to come and help. Who is this someone? Do you know? My mindset has changed to what I can do to move. And when I move, I realized I met who I needed or what I needed for the next step. Do what you can today. Don't worry about tomorrow. #God. And in today's language, the power of now, Eckhart Tolle. Trust in your talent. Stop trying and taking the hard road to impress people. I feel pleasing yourself or in your full, or living in your full potential is the same as pleasing God. He gave me the talent to sing, act, love people, entertain, help, support. When I act using my talent, he supplies all my needs and I please him equals happiness, which is in the main purpose of this rhetoric. Happiness is serving your true self. Once you get to know what that is by taking the time, using patience, without seeking riches or serving man's expectation of you, seek ye first the kingdom, seeking your inner voice, the God in you, where you do hear God and God speaks in the still small voice. Everything we need is in us. Trust in your talent. Please God equals happiness. That was a poem I wrote, and I had a whole presentation, but I can just stop there, Mike.
Vida, you can take another 5. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to break it down slightly, and I had come up with, I am enough. And I wanted everyone to think, who are you? And when I say I'm Stella, you know, for those who know the movie, why is it that when we lose everything is then when we seem to find it? And in a sense, then we gain everything. We get to see our real selves and hope then that it's not too late. For example, a divorce. A woman may cut her, all her hair off, or, the husband might then go and change a job or go back to school. Why do we need such a big interruption to our lives to change our monotony? Over the years, I said we become weary. I could imagine if I went around the room, I could come up with stories of how life has happened to us and has stripped us of our confidence or our strength, of for our energy, for a certain thing or a dream. Our innocence is gone. But here's the silver lining. In Corona, I have decided I went inward. And I know this is difficult because sometimes we can find things that we don't want to see or we've been ignoring. But I promise if you stick with it and you practice, it becomes an amazing place to be. Just being still. And I will translate this in another place, and it will translate into other places of your life. Be still and know that I am God. I got to know me in the stillness, and I'm falling in love with myself. And I read my Bible to couple with that, and I believe who God says I am. I stopped listening to the voices. In the stillness, you're able to close out all the criticisms, all the advice, what you should do, what you shouldn't have done, how you should have been, what you should be. And it's funny how we can listen to how great we are 10 times in a row, but the first time someone says, oh, you missed that there, that's what you hold on to for the next 10 years. You are enough. I stopped going outward, looking for advice. And I found that it was so empowering just to listen to myself. And even if I didn't hear that day, the next day someone would call me, or, I would watch a movie and it would talk to me, or just in my stillness, the situation would just figure itself out, finding out that what I was even thinking was wrong in the first place. Everything has to stop about being I want it now. Enjoy the journey. What do you really want? I realized in the time of being still, I wanted different things. I realized I want to be a gospel singer, not secular. I realized I do not like big birthdays. I like really tiny homemade birthdays. I realized I actually hate shopping, whereas before I used to shop for therapy. Who are you really? What do you value? Right now, I value quality time. I value my family, and I finally value me. I am worth more than rubies and gold. How I let you treat me, that's up to me. Someone said to me, what is your color? After I'd been complaining about the same thing over and over again. And I came up with purple and gold. Royalty, that's what my father said about me. Only 2 people mattered to me. My father and me, finally. No one is coming, guys. So move today. I've held myself back, waiting for someone to help me. But I realized in this time, I'm waiting for the same person who's waiting for me. And I'm holding on to this disappointment and discouragement, and it's not even real. Think about, why would God give someone more than they gave me? Think of the story of talents. It is literally what you do with what you've been given. And if you haven't taken the time with yourself to quieten the naysayers to see what you truly have, then why would anyone else? Also, you would realize when you move, the world meets you. You will meet someone or the next step, and it'll become clear as you go. When I move, you move, just like that. Dancing only works when you're in a rhythm. Life is a dance. Find your rhythm. Don't worry about tomorrow. God says not to worry about tomorrow. In today's language, like I said, the power of now. And trust in your talents. For a long time, I did not want. For a long time, I did what pleased people and what brought me or what they told me would bring me gains, but I lost myself in the process. Going inward to find your true self and satisfying your soul will be fulfilling your purpose and pleasing God. And He is the creator of your purpose and inner voice. God dwells within me. Happiness when I act, making a decision, being conscious and truly hearing my true self. He will supply all my needs and I please Him, equals happiness. Serving your true self is taking the time, patience, focus on purpose, not riches. What is your color? Finding your color, ignoring the noise from the outside, trusting in your talent, getting up and moving, your true happiness. I did that really fast.
Avita, that was excellent. Let me give you a hand clap for that. I think it was well considered. And, you know, if you didn't manage your thoughts well, you wouldn't have written that wonderful piece.
No, I took the time.
Yeah, and it often comes at very arduous and difficult circumstances. Some gems are formed. We already heard about diamonds. They're formed under pressure. So, you know, many of us are diamonds in the rough, and you know what? We could use this pressure of coronavirus to refine us and build us and make us stronger, better, faster, quicker, and smarter. You know, thank you for that, Abida. I think it was wonderful. You know what? We're getting close to the end of time, but I think what Abida done there was like, it was you know, like these adverts that you get, these interludes. It was an interlude between what I was saying, and I think everything she said kind of acts as a prudent reminder that we should be able to lift up our head and be a bit more confident and take some more time to love ourselves and be kinder to ourselves and recognize that when we use all of what we got and we use it all up, then we're empty, we can get more. But as many of us haven't used up what we've got yet, and we're asking for more and we're full. So empty out, pour out, become a libation on this earth. Use your life, serve, and then you can be served. You can feel a sense of purpose and usefulness. You know, you'll be more grateful. You know, it's when you give out of kindness, you feel amazing, don't you? When you give someone something and they value it and they appreciate it and you feel good about your gift, you feel good. And then you know what? That's when gifts start coming back. So I want us to, we're on the home straight now. We're on the home straight with regards to our confidence. I want us to look again at our core beliefs, because some of our core beliefs are not necessarily true. And some of our core beliefs are actually not good for us. So this is a good time to ascertain and evaluate, what are we believing? Remember in the first session we talked about values? What's our beliefs? So I want to give you an example. We often negative or false, unconscious, or let's say at the best, semi-conscious beliefs, which can have a very negative impact on our feelings and our behavior. So let me give you an example. I've heard people say, oh, I'm so stupid. Or, yeah, I'm a bad person, you know. Or, man, I'm too emotional, or I'm boring, or I'm worthless, or I'm too loud, you know, I'm a bit weird. Or you start to believe I must not be good enough. And I'm wondering if we could, again, this is part 2 of your homework. I never became a teacher in life. I don't know why I'm giving out homework as if I've got the right to, but just work with me. I want us to think about some of these core beliefs that we hold dear, which may not be truth, but we hold them carefully in our hearts, in our minds, in our behaviors. I want us to take that core belief, and I'm going to give you an example. Let's say I believe I am not good enough. Let's say I believe that. Somewhere in my subconscious mind or my semi-conscious belief, I believe I am not good enough. That's my core belief. I want you, as your homework, to list those core beliefs, and then beside it, beside each one, say, this can't be true because. And I want you to finish the because. So in my example, I am not good enough. That's my core belief. Beside that, I want to say, this can't be true because whatever your ... becomes is going to boost your confidence. Does that make sense, the example? I'm going to write down the core belief, especially the ones that are false or negative. Sorry, only the ones that are false and negative. So in this example, I'm using one that says, I am not good enough. That's my core belief. Beside it or underneath it, I want you to say, actually, that can't be true because. Finish that sentence and it helps rewire in your life. List as many as you can. Challenge them. We've got loads. I've got loads. We've all got some. Just list them and say, this can't be true because. It's a powerful exercise. Try it. Okay, and then so finally, we got 7 minutes. That's your homework. I just want us to spend, I want to give you 5 tips. I've got more here, but I'll give you 5 tips to improve your self-esteem and confidence. Here's one. Number 1. Take a 2-minute self-appreciation break. We're not appreciating everyone else at the moment. We can do that a bit later. Take 2 minutes to appreciate yourself. Just break from what you're doing, especially when things get tough. Number 2, fight against perfectionism. Because oftentimes when we set perfectionism as a standard, we fail, and that obviously makes us feel bad, and we're not feeling super confident, especially if we're failing all the time. So that's the second one. I won't explain it. Handle mistakes and failure in a more positive way. That's number 3. Number 4 is what Fiona alluded to. Stop falling into the comparison trap. And then the 5th one for today, it's been mentioned in these sessions before, but I'm going to put it in these words. Remember the whys of high self-esteem. Why do you need high self-esteem? Why? As soon as you observe why you need high self-esteem, it's something you can go for. You can aim towards. So I'm hoping those 5 are helpful and useful for you. And I just want to say it's a sensitive subject, this confidence piece, but it's a critical subject. It's something that we sometimes have to just take a deep breath, plant your feet firm, and just know you're made of the stuff that's required to get you through. Warts and all, difficult times and all, challenging behavior and all. And none of us have got all of it right. But we endeavor, we press, we shift, and we move towards a better version of us. Small steps, incremental pieces, and just know that if you've done something amazing and good in the past, you can do it again. All right? So that's my lot today. I think it's fair and kind to open this up for the last 3 minutes. If there's anyone that wants to endorse what I've said or add to it, enhance it, if you've got a nugget that someone needs to hear, let's say it now. Let's say it now, because we want to be more confident by Thursday coming. By Thursday coming. If we've got stuff to deal with, we've all got stuff to deal with, but some things are pressing. We want the confidence to be able to manage that circumstance with the most wisdom, the best endeavor, the best attitude we have or we can get for that moment. The confidence to say yes to life, the beauty of life, especially if we've been beaten up by life, to say yes again, to give it another go. Once we've got breath in our nostrils, we're going. Hey, Mama Maloney, please go ahead. I'm so glad you're willing to say something. Please, could you be unmuted? And then we can hear from you. Yep, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Nice to hear from you. And I was so happy to see Habida. I didn't waste my time raising her. I agree with everything that has been said. One thing I didn't hear anybody mentioning is routine, which I have learned in my very long years at this time, to have routine and to persist in routine. In my life, I have trusted in my routine of waking every morning at 8, whether I'm feeling lazy, sick, happy, or in every which way. And before breakfast, to have a walk. This has been very, very difficult. That's why I'm saying routine and persistent is very, very, very important in somebody's life, the young and also the old. I would wake up feeling really, really bad. And there is a day or two that I won't go for my routine walk. But routine and persistence, I feel, is one of the things that is really, really important in one's life.
Excellent.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mrs. Maloney. Thank you so much. Routine and persistent. Absolutely right. And we thank you for that. And we do have time for Queen. Please go ahead.
Like generally talking about confidence, even what Fiona said, that most of us, we do lack confidence. We are working on it due to circumstances or situations. I find myself with this Wellbeing Cafe, I'm on the routine, as Mom has said. And this routine is helping me not to beat up myself. That's what Mike said, I think one word you said. Sometimes when you intend to do something, or you are on a journey to do something, you feel like you're not getting there, or you feel like you're a failure, or you even feel, don't want to take a step because what about if I fail? what about this happens? So I learned through this cafe, through the speakers, through everyone talking that, you know what, if you have whys in place, why am I doing this? So whether you are going to fail or not, take a baby step, take a small step. So I'm just saying, I'm encouraged, I'm challenged, and I'm telling you, I'm quiet. Maybe most of you are asking yourselves, Queen is so quiet. I'm quiet because I'm getting into myself, as Habida said. Daily, I'm taking my time daily to speak to myself, to go inside and search myself. And by the grace of the Lord, as we all say, as she says, with God, all things are possible, but they're not going to be possible if you're not taking a step, if you're not taking action. And mind you, remind yourself that falling down, you will have to wake up. You have to stand up. Don't lie down there forever. So that's where I am, and I'm encouraging everyone who knows me that I'm quiet, but it's because I'm working on myself. And one point I can just say, sometimes we don't do things that we're supposed to do because of what people say. It can be your family, and it hurts most when it's your family. Sometimes it crumbles you more when it's people that you look up to, when they say things. Sometimes they don't say them in a negative way, but when they arrive to you as a person, they can crumble you. But thank God for people like Mike, for people like Rev David, because they will help you to find the way of dealing with situation. So I applaud you, all women and all men. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Queen. Thank you. Powerful words that you've spoken there, Queen. And you're quiet, but you're working on yourself. And that's that posture that I said we need to have, where we're very deliberate, our feet are firm. And even if we do slip, and we do slide, and we do fall on our bums every now and then, we learn to get back up. We learn to get back up, just like a toddler who falls over after taking some baby steps. So ladies and gentlemen, we've gone over time by 3 minutes, but I do want to say thank you. It's a great energy in this space, and we're able to be transparent. We recognize that we haven't got it all right, but we're moving forward. You know what I mean? And if we metaphorically hold each other's hands, we build this chain that's strong, and we're going to move forward. And if you see me lacking a bit of confidence, speak an encouraging word to me. Build me up. You know what I mean? Help me. We all need it. And I'll do the same. And then guess what happens? We start matriculating upwards. All right? So keep going, guys. Keep on keeping on. And looking forward to seeing you on Transformational Thursday. We're going to have an amazing speaker. I'm not going to tell you who it is yet. But look out for your emails. Drop us a line if you need some extra support. Have a wonderful, safe, and pleasant day. Thank you. Bye-bye.